Watch this story in full. Subscribe, comment and like my channel, Green Mythology, for mythology and history. Gateway 2, the captivating worlds of ancient myth. Now watch the story in full please. The wind howled, a mournful dirge echoing through the desolate mountains of ancient Greece. Alara clutched her worn shawl tighter, her gaze sweeping the darkening slopes where the last rays of twilight bled into bruised purples and grays. Her son, Lycos, should have been home hours ago. He was only 5, and though he was a spirited boy, the encroaching night in these parts was not to be trifled with. Rumors, whispered in hushed tones around flickering hearths, spoke of the Lamia, the child-devouring demon, that roamed these very peaks. Alara had always scoffed at such tales, born of fear and ignorance. But as the shadows lengthened and the air grew colder, a tendril of dread began to coil in her stomach. She remembered the story her grandmother used to tell, of a beautiful queen cursed by Hera, her children stolen, leaving her a monstrous shell, forever seeking to devour the young to fill the aching void within her. A shiver, colder than the mountain air, ran down her spine. She called out Lycos's name, her voice thin against the rising wind. No reply. Her heart pounded, a frantic drum against her ribs. Leaving the small cottage, she began to ascend the rocky path he usually took, her bare feet stumbling over loose stones. Each rustle of leaves, each creak of a branch, sent a jolt of terror through her. Finally, in a small, sheltered hollow, she found him. Lycos lay curled beneath a gnarled olive tree, fast asleep, a half-eaten apple clutched in his hand. Relief washed over Alara so powerfully that her knees almost buckled. She knelt, gently shaking him awake. "Mama," he murmured, rubbing his eyes. "I got tired." Alara hugged him fiercely, burying her face in his soft hair, the scent of dust and wild thyme filling her senses. "You mustn't wander so far, little one," she whispered, her voice still trembling. "The night holds many dangers." As they made their way back down the path, the moon, a sliver of silver, began to cast long, eerie shadows. Suddenly, a sound, not the wind, nor an animal. It was a low, mournful cry, like a child in distress, yet laced with an unsettling, unnatural quality. Lycos stirred in her arms. "What's that sound, Mama?" Alara froze. It was coming from deeper within the mountains, from a cave she knew lay hidden behind a curtain of thorny bushes. Her mind screamed at her to flee, to run and not look back. But the cry, so heartbreakingly poignant, tugged at something deep within her maternal instinct. It sounded like a child in pain, perhaps lost. "Stay here, Lycos," she instructed, her voice barely a whisper. "Don't move, no matter what you hear." She gently set him down behind a large boulder, pressing her finger to her lips. Then, driven by a foolish, desperate hope, she crept towards the sound. The air grew heavy, thick with a cloying sweetness that made her stomach churn. As she pushed through the thorny barrier, she saw it. The cave mouth was wide, unnaturally dark, and from within, the crying continued, now accompanied by a low, guttural humming. Alara hesitated, her heart hammering. Every fiber of her being screamed danger. But the sound, it was so convincing, so heartbreakingly human. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. The cave was vast and cold. In the center, bathed in the faint moonlight filtering through a crack in the ceiling, was a figure. Tall and gaunt, it sat hunched over, its back to her. A long, dark cloak draped over its form, but a glimpse of pale, scaly skin beneath sent a fresh wave of terror through Alara. And in its arms, a bundle. The crying ceased abruptly. The figure slowly turned its head. Alara gasped, stifling a scream. What she saw would haunt her nightmares forever. The face was once beautiful, undeniably so, but now it was a grotesque mask of agony and hunger. Eyes, sunken and hollow, glowed with an eerie, predatory light. The mouth, wide and lipless, revealed rows of needle-sharp teeth. And the bundle in its arms, it wasn't a child. It was a crude effigy, made of sticks and rags, from which the wails had emanated. "The Lamia, you came," A voice hissed, not from its throat, but seeming to emanate from the very air around it, a whisper like dry leaves skittering across stone. So hungry, so long, for a taste of innocence. Alara's mind reeled. It was a lure, a deceptive, heartbreaking lure designed to draw in desperate parents. She had fallen for it. Panic, cold and raw, gripped her. She had to get back to Lycos. As she turned to flee, the Lamia moved with startling speed, its scaly hand darting out to grab her ankle. Her foot slipped on the damp rock, and she fell heavily. The demon loomed over her, its foul breath a cloud of decay. So sweet, the fear, the love, the essence of youth. Just as its razor teeth descended, a small, shrill cry echoed from outside the cave. Mama! The Lamia froze. Its head snapped towards the sound, its glowing eyes narrowing with furious intent. The sound of a child, a real child, was an irresistible draw. For a fleeting moment, its attention was diverted. This was her chance. With a surge of adrenaline, Alara kicked out, catching the demon in its exposed, scaly chest. It staggered back, a guttural snarl ripping from its throat. Scrambling to her feet, Alara fled from the cave, the image of its hideous face burned into her mind. She ran, not stopping, not looking back, until she reached the boulder where she had left Lycos. He was whimpering, clutching a smooth, river stone in his tiny hand. Lycos, we have to go, she cried, scooping him up. They stumbled down the mountain, the demon's guttural roars echoing behind them. Alara could feel its presence, a cold, malevolent shadow pursuing them. She knew it would not give up easily. It rarely did. But as they reached the edge of the village, the first faint light of dawn began to paint the eastern sky. The Lamia, a creature of shadow and night, recoiled from the encroaching light. Its roars faded, replaced by frustrated, inhuman hisses. Alara collapsed at her doorstep, Lycos still clutched tightly in her arms. She looked back at the receding darkness of the mountains, a profound terror still gripping her, but also a fierce, unwavering resolve. She had seen the demon, felt its evil, and lived to tell the tale. From that day forward, Alara no longer scoffed at the whispers of the Lamia. Instead, she became a fierce protector, warning every mother, every father, of the lurking danger. She taught the children to never stray, to never follow the mournful cries that echoed from the peaks. She knew the darkness that lurked in the mountains, and she would fight with every fiber of her being to ensure it never touched another child of her village again. The Lamia might be a child-devouring demon, but a mother's love, fierce and unyielding, was a force even older and more powerful. Would you like to hear another story of a mythical creature, or perhaps explore how ancient Greek myths have influenced modern storytelling?